Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Bhaktarinda Oh hey Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Diya Patachaya Soto e Amaya Tomara Charana Dori Dio Patachaya Soto e Amaya Tomara Charana Dori Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Chaya Pekadomi Chaya Dosha Shoti Chaya Guna Deho Dase Chaya Pekadomi Chaya Dosha Shoti Chaya Guna Deho Dase Chaya Desanka Deho Amara Poshidji Shangera Ashe Chaya Satsanga Deo He Amara Pushidji Sangara Ache Oh He Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Ekaki Amara Nahi Payabala Harinama Sankirtane Ekaki Amara Nahi Payabala Harinama Sankirtane Tumi Kripa Kori Shrata Bindu Diya Deho Krishna Nama Dane Tumi Kripa Kori Shrata Bindu Diya Deho Krishna Nama Dane Oh He Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Oh Vaishnava Thakura Doyarasagara Edase Karuna Kori Krishna se tomara Krishna ditto paro tomara shakti ache. Krishna se tomara, Krishna ditto paro, tomara shakti ache. Amito kangala, Krishna Krishna boli, taitava pache pache. Amito tangala, Krishna Krishna boli, taitava pache pache. Oh hey, Vaishnava Thakura, doyara sagara, ita se karuna gori. Vaishnava Thakura, doyara sagara, ita se karuna gori. Jaya Vaishnava Thakura, Jaya Vaishnava Thakura, Jaya Vaishnava Thakura, Jaya Vaishnava Thakura, Vaishnava Thakura, Vaishnava Thakura, Jaya Vaishnava Thakura, Jaya Vaishnava Thakura, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Jai Vaishnava Thakur ki Jai. That is a very beautiful song, and I will share the translation with you from Bhaktivinoda Thakura. O Venerable Vaishnava, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Of course, what is Thakur Bhaktivinoda addressing? He's addressing Guru, he's addressing spiritual master. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. And that's a very important point. Alone, we are very, very weak. Srila Prabhupada used to always say, if you have a stick, it can easily be broken. But you have a bundle of sticks, it is very difficult or impossible to break them. So these associations, this Sangha of devotees is so important. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explaining, I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. The Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari means, of course, also even our japa, our all of Krishna activities. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I am simply running behind you shouting, Krishna, Krishna. That's a factor. The spiritual master is a pure devotee. He can reveal the holy name. Krishna is his, and we just aspiring. Hare Krishna. Okay, that was our introductory song. Welcome Amit, welcome Prakash, welcome Rajesh. Hare Krishna. It's very nice to see you, Rajesh. Very nice. So hopefully Poonam will also join us shortly. And welcome Vaishnava Mataji. So, Hare Krishna. Let's just start. Rajesh, I think you would be very, very happy to come to our Wednesday meeting with Bhagavad Gita. We're giving a really good idea of Bhagavad Gita, an overview, philosophical development of in Bhagavad Gita, the all over development, chapter by chapter analysis, the different concepts of Bhagavad Gita, all of that. And I think you would be very well situated. Now here, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is a PhD, that is advanced study. Bhagavad Gita is the ABC of spiritual life. So I can only say, please come on a Wednesday and keep on coming. You will always pick up something here on a Saturday, but the Wednesday would be most beneficial. And Amit, of course, you're welcome also. We're looking at the basics of Krishna consciousness, and we're really giving, this course will give it's a workshop really. It gives a completely new understanding, a new look of Bhagavad Gita. What is it really all about? We will not go through Bhagavad Gita verse by verse by verse by verse. It will take too long. We're picking some key verses, key concepts, and we're moving on we're getting a good overview of Bhagavad Gita also altogether. So today is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam time. So I'll put the link in the chat. We are at the first canto still, the 11th chapter and text 11. That's nice. 1, 11, 11. So let me put that into the chat for everyone. So the link is there. You can follow it up. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita. Om Agnati Mirandasya Gananshana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Dadadi Svapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Zakrajatam Zahagana Ragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savatutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badan Zahagana Lalita Shivishakam Scha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishapanu Sutatevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sintupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. That was a Mangala Charana invocation. So, welcome back, Amit. You had some difficulties. So, let's go to the text 11 of the 11th chapter of the first canto. Madhubocha darsharharta kukurandakavrishnipi atmatulya balair guptam nagarbo gavatim iva. Well, that is our text 11. Translation.
Sorry to interrupt. Is it possible you can put the link again? I lost it when I come back and I can't see it.
Oh no, you lost it. Okay, we'll do that.
Oh, you come out of call. You don't see the chat anymore. Thank you.
Yes. So that means if you get booted out, you lose the link. Okay. Can you see the link?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, translation. As Bhagavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwarka protected by the descendants of Vrishni, the Bodhas, Matus, Dasharhas, Arhas, Kukuras, Andakas, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. Of course, this chapter is called Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. So just to get the context right, Lord Krishna has left Hastinapur and Yudhishthira was pleading with him, please, my Lord, stay a few days longer. We cannot bear the separation from you. That was all after the battlefield, after the battle of Kurukshetra, and after Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So then the Pandavas retired to Hastinapur, the capital, and then Krishna said, I'm leaving to Dwarka, Krishna's city of Dwarka. So therefore, and there are some beautiful, beautiful verses coming up describing, we heard a lot about Dwarka. Everybody knows. Many of you have even been in Dwarka and seen Lord Dwarkadish. But here we have some description which will enhance your meditation on Dwarka of how beautiful the city was arranged with everything, and how a beautiful reception Krishna gets when he returns back to Dwarka. Okay, so purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Nagaloka planet is situated below the Earth planet, and it is understood that the sun rays are hampered there. So one has to understand, there are different planetary systems. The Earth planet is in the middle, and then above is Svargaloka are the heavenly planets. Below the Earth planets are the Patala, Tala, Mahatala, and hellish planets, and Lord Yamaraj resides there. And there is also the planets of the Nagas. So different levels of higher, middle, and lower in the universe. The darkness of the planet is, however, removed by the flashes of the jewels set on the heads of the Nagas. Who are the Nagas? Celestial serpents. And it is said that there are beautiful gardens, rivulets, etc., for the enjoyment of the Nagas. It is understood here that the place is well protected. By the descendants of Vrishni, who were as powerful as the Lord, insofar he manifested his strength upon this earth. Maybe one point could be made. Bhagavati, the capital of Nagaloka, the transcendental water which washes the lotus feet, Krishna's lotus feet, is known in the higher planetary systems as Mandakini. You may have heard of Mandakini. That is the celestial waters, the river, is known as Mandakini. In the lower planetary system, the same celestial flow is known as Bhagavati, what we are speaking of. And in the earthly planet, as Ganges. So that's very interesting. The same sacred river flows throughout the universe. In the heavenly planets is known as Mandakini. Then comes to the middle planetary systems. This earthly planet is known as the river Ganges and flows down to the lower planetary system, like the planets of the Nagas, Nagaloka, and there it is known as Bhagavati. This sacred transcendental water flows throughout the entire universe, purifying wherever it flows. So that was a quote from Lord Krishna's daily activities from Krishna book. So what else can be said to that beautiful verse and purport? I would say we could move on, and if anybody has a question, then we can try to explain. Any questions? If not, we'll move on to the next verse. And I would like to ask Vaishnava Mataji of Prakash. You already have to go, Prakash? That is very sad. Usually we get this kind of message when you have to go. If you have to go, you have to go. What can be done? But 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. Oh my. Look, that is real austerity. Prakash Ji in Delhi, he is so eager to come to this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam discussion that he stays awake till after midnight, 1 a.m. So he is so eager. If we get a little bit of that eagerness, we pray we get a bit of that eagerness, Prakash. That would be very nice. Thank you so much for being there and having a very nice sleep with the Bhagavatam in your ears, and maybe you will be this Dwarkapuri will appear in your dreams. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, that was Prakash. So Vaishnava Mataji, are you ready to give us a bit of some reading?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
That will be text 12.
Text 12.
That's right.
Right. Sarvartu sarva vibhava punya vraksha latashramaya udyano pavana ramer vrata padma karashriyam. Translation. The city of Dwarkapuri was filled with the opulences of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks and reservoirs of water breeding lotus flowers all over. Purport. Perfection of human civilization is made possible by utilizing the gifts of nature in their own way. As we find herewith in the description of its opulence, Dwarka was surrounded by flower gardens and fruit orchards, along with reservoirs of water and growing lotuses. There is no mention of mills and factories supported by slaughterhouses, which are the necessary paraphernalia of the modern metropolis. The propensity to utilize nature's own gifts is still there, even in the heart of modern civilized man. The leaders of modern civilization select their own residential quarters in a place where there are such naturally beautiful gardens and reservoirs of water, but they leave the common men to reside in congested areas without parks and gardens. Herein, of course, we find a different description of the city of Dwarka. It is understood that the whole Dharma, or residential quarter, was surrounded by such gardens and parks with reservoirs of water where lotuses grew. It is understood that all the people depended on nature's gifts of fruits and flowers without industrial enterprises promoting filthy huts and slums for residential quarters. Advancement of civilization is estimated not on the growth of mills and factories to deteriorate the finer instincts of the human being, but on developing the potent spiritual instincts of human beings and giving them a chance to go back to Godhead. Development of factories and mills is called ugra karma, or pungent activities, and such activities deteriorate the finer sentiments of the human being and society to form a dungeon of demons. We find herein the mention of pious trees which produce seasonal flowers and fruits. The impious trees are useless jungles only, and they can only be used to supply fuels. In the modern civilization, such impious trees are planted on the sides of roads. Human energy should be properly utilized in developing the finer senses for spiritual understanding, in which lies the solution of life. Fruits, flowers, beautiful gardens, parks and reservoirs of water, with ducks and swans playing in the midst of lotus flowers, and cows giving sufficient milk and butter, are essential for developing the finer tissues of the human body. As against this, the dungeons of mines, factories and workshops develop demoniac propensities in the working class. The vested interests flourish at the cost of working class, and consequently, there are severe clashes between them in so many ways. The description of Dwarka Dham is the ideal of human civilization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vashana Mataji. That is a beautiful verse. What strikes you when you hear that? Is there anything which really astonishes you or which strikes you? I mean, there are comparisons between Dwarka and how the city was organized and surrounding and our modern society. So what do you say? What strikes you?
Just showing the beauty of nature and how it's not been interrupted by the modern day, I think, mills and factories and stuff and slaughterhouses that we have here in the material life. It just sounds like a beautiful, beautiful garden where Krishna was. And the best of nature. I presume, I mean, they don't talk about animals here, but when they talk about nature, they must be there if the parks and the gardens are there also.
Well, they talk about swans.
Swans, yes. They talk about swans. Yeah, it sounds very, quite romantic, actually, and beautiful. I didn't realize it's using the word ugra karma or pungent activities. I didn't realize there were pungent activities. I thought pungent just was a word they referred to a smell, you know, when something is pungent. It's normally some sort of aroma or something.
Of course, you have to think of prasadam. I'm not surprised. But I mean, there are pungent activities, ugra karma. That is a term you will hear again and again. In Bhagavad Gita, in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it's just these horrible activities of, I mean, let me say that, we just at the end of, and it has been in the news and headlines, of COP26, a climate conference in Glasgow, where...
Yes, I was thinking of that, yes.
where people try to get back to nature, because nature is just getting destroyed bit by bit by bit, species getting extinct just by the insatiable appetite of mining, of extracting minerals and oil and gas and cutting down forests to make space for farming, and not farming just vegetables and grains. The majority of cutting down forests for farming is for cattle raising and for soy and other products for feeding cattle, because people just want meat, 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 and meat. So that is a big problem. If meat eating is seen as advancement of civilization here in the Western countries, in the developed economies. Now, if the Chinese want to, and they do want to, and they will imitate this meat-eating habit as a sign of material advancement, then the whole Amazon forest will be cut down. Huge, already huge hectares after hundreds of, there are some comparisons of a place like 10 football fields is disappearing in the Amazon rainforest every single day. It's just extracting. That is all ukra karma, this kind of activity. So we have seen in Glasgow, there are voices who want to stop that. But the interest of the oil lobby and the big oil producers in Saudi Arabia, the big oil producers of Shell, ExxonMobil, and others, there are such powerful multinational companies who financing whole governments. It is very, very difficult. So just see that comparison of what Vaishnava Mataji has just been reading of that beautiful description of Dwarkapuri in compared to the state of the world today. So that is a very stark comparison. Okay, anyone has a question? Welcome, Rashmi. Any question, Amit? Anyone?
No question, Prabhu. It was a beautiful verse. What a beautiful place. No slaughterhouses. Such a beautiful thought, you know.
We want a place like that. We want to re-establish this planet in this kind of shape. Beautiful places. Because these ukra karma, these industrialized and slaughterhouses and all that, which we have been reading, that is just destroying the finest sentiment of the human being. It's destroying the human being, actually. And an interesting point Srila Prabhupada makes here, actually the tendency of having nice gardens and nice, peaceful living arrangement, that is there. The people who are a little bit better well off, they don't live in the city center of Leicester. They're living a little bit away in Anstey, in Turmerston, in Seiston, in Oadby, and so on, because the tendency is there. It's not so congested. It's a little bit more nature around. So that is the sentiment of the human being. They want to see this kind of things. But only the poor and unfortunate working class. I mean, there are plenty of people who are working in factories, in textile factories, even here in Leicester. And there has been, some time back, there has been quite a big scandal that people are employed with less than £3 a day now. And I mean, there are horrific descriptions. And so we want to see beautiful places. And we want to live in beautiful cities like Dwarka. And we want to live on a beautiful planet. So we have to get planet Earth back from the total wreckage as it's heading to now. Okay, let's move on from that. Rashmi, we are on the 12th verse of the 11th chapter that Vaishnava Mataji was just reading. Said, can you take on text 13? That would be very nice. Of the Bhagavatam. Text 13 of the 11th chapter. How is that?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes, I'll do that. Is that the verse beginning with Gopure?
Yes.
Yeah. Text
Yes,
13.
yes.
Yeah.
If it says text 13, then yes, Gopura.
Gopure. Gopure dvara margeshu krita kautakatornam chitra dvaja patakagrer anta pratihatatapam pratihata tapam. Translation. The city gateways, the household doors, and festooned arches along the roads were all nicely decorated with festive signs like plantain trees and mango leaves, all to welcome the Lord. Flags, garlands, and painted signs and slogans all combined to shade the sunshine. Signs of decoration in special festivals were always collected from the gifts of nature, such as plantain trees, mango trees, fruits, and flowers. Mango trees, coconut palms, and plantain trees are still accepted as auspicious signs. The flags mentioned above were all painted with the picture of either Garud or Hanuman, the two great servitors of the Lord. For devotees, such paintings and decorations are still adored, and the servitor of the Master is paid more respects for the satisfaction of the Lord.
What a beautiful description. What a beautiful description. And what a peaceful environment. Is there anything to be said about that verse, Rashmi?
No, Prabhuji.
So take the next one. Take text 14 as well.
Text 14. Sammarjita Mahamarga Rath Yapanaka Chatvaram Shiktam Siktam Gandha Jaler Uptam Phala Pushpakshatan Kure. The translation. The highways, subways, lanes, market, and public meeting places were all thoroughly clean and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord's, fruits, flowers, and unbroken seeds were strewn everywhere. Purport. Scented waters prepared by distilling flowers like rose and kevada were requisitioned to wet the roads, streets, and lanes of Dwarka Dham. Such places, along with the marketplace and public meeting places, were thoroughly cleaned. From the above description, it appears that the city of Dwarka Dham was considerably big, containing many highways, streets, and public meeting places with parks, gardens, and reservoirs of water, all very nicely decorated with flowers and fruits. And to welcome the Lord, such flowers and fruits with unbroken seeds of grain were also strewn over the public places. Unbroken seeds of grain or fruits in the seedling stage were considered auspicious, and they are still so used by the Hindus in general on festival days.
Anything to be said?
Not really, Prabhuji.
How, in what ceremonies is that used in Hindu festivals? You should know.
You know, when you do the yagya, we have done the yagya in the temple, we use the seeds, na? We throw them into the fire and
Yes.
we say swaha, swaha.
Anything else?
No, Prabhuji, but I know sesame seeds especially, they are considered very auspicious for all sorts of ceremonies, Shraddh ceremony, etc. also. Everywhere sesame seed is used.
Weddings, of course, as well.
Yeah.
When the rice and kumkum is put on the forehead. You did recently a Shraddh ceremony. That was also these auspicious grains and fruits and seedling in the seedling state. That was also used.
Oh, yes, there was wheat and sesame seed, both was being used.
Okay, yes, beautiful description. Beautiful description. Anyone has any question? Anything needs to be said more? Okay, then I would like to ask Amit of giving us a reading of the next shloka, if that is okay with you.
Okay, Prabhu, that is fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very good you come over today.
Okay, good. Okay.
Just one more thing, scented water by distilling flowers. So that was all, these sciences were all known. And obviously to putting the water, scented water on the streets, it was also perhaps, if the roads are hot and dry and dusty, so that will cool things out and the dust will also disappear. So, Amit, text 15.
Text 50, okay. Dwara, Dwari, Gaharanam, Cha,
Grihanam,
Grehanam,
Cha.
Cha. Tadhi,
Akshata. Are you there, Amit? We cannot hear you. I think you have some trouble. Amit, I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Vaishnava Mataji, can you hear me? Rashmi, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can hear you.
Okay, so Amit, you have a problem. You're breaking up. There's no sound. Okay, let me read that shloka. Tvari tvari krihanam cha dat yakshata palekshubihi alankritam purna kumbhir balibir dupa dipakai. Amit, can you hear me now? Welcome, Poonam. We're just reading about the beautiful arrangements of Dwarka. And in the next shloka, Rajesh, we want to test your Sanskrit. Hare Krishna, if you don't mind. So, let's... Amit, are you... It's gone. Okay, let me read the translation to that verse. Translation. In each and every door of the residential houses, auspicious things like yogurt, unbroken fruits, sugarcane, and full water pots with articles from worship, along with incense and candles, were all displayed. Amit, can we hear you? Is your audio working?
Hello, Prabhu. Can you hear me now?
Yes. So read the purport to that.
Okay. Yes, I will read the purport. I will read the purport.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The process of reception according to Vedic rites, is not at all dry. The reception was made not simply by decorating the roads and streets, as the Prophet mentioned, but by worshipping the Lord with requisite ingredients like incense, lamps, flowers, sweets, fruits, and other palatable eatables, according to one capacity. All were offered to the Lord, and the remnants of the foodstuff were distributed amongst the gathering citizens. So it was not like a dry reception of these modern days. Each and every house was ready to receive the Lord in a similar way, and thus each and every house on the road and street distributed each such remnant of food to the citizen, and therefore the festival was successful. Without distribution of food, no function is complete, and that is the way of the Vedic culture.
Okay, what strikes you in that verse, Amit?
Yes, I mean, what strikes me is that everybody got, some of the food stuff. So it's almost like prasadam.
That's important, isn't it? Prasadam distribution, Vaishnava Mataji. That's very, very important. So here, every house, they had auspicious articles and they had prasadam, and it was a festival. So we can take example of that. Anything else strikes you? You picked the good point. Huh? There has to be prasadam distribution, not food distribution. Food is one thing. Prasadam is food offered to the Lord. What's a Bhagavad Gita verse where we should offer food to the Lord? Who can say? Vaishana, Rashmi.
Is it the one where I should know this one?
Oh, yeah, you definitely. You are the personification of prasadam distribution. So that verse, if you don't know any verse, but this verse you should know.
If one offers to me...
What about the Sanskrit? You should know that as well. Patram pushpam palam toyam.
That's the bit I know.
Okay, that is something. So what's the meaning of that verse?
If anyone offers me with love a fruit, flower, water, tulsi leaf, I will accept.
Oh, that's very important. These things can be fruit, water, that can be offered to the Lord. That is prasadam. And by inconceivable arrangements, this foodstuff is spiritualized, purified. And that is the power of Krishna. He can turn something material into spiritual. And something spiritual can be turned into material. It's a question of consciousness. So if we think spiritual life is so difficult, we have to find some time in our busy schedule and sit down and meditate and chanting Hare Krishna and read. Yes, these things we have to do. Yes, of course. But spiritual life is very, very easy. All what it means, bringing whatever we do, making the contact with Krishna, bringing Krishna into our life. So we have to eat. Everybody has to eat. So we have to cook. All what is not that suddenly we don't cook anymore and eat anymore. No. Just when we have cooked, we offer our food to Krishna with devotion. That's what it says in that verse. If one offers me with love and devotion, you missed out the love, Vaishnava. So love and devotion, then Krishna will accept it. And if Krishna accepting our food stuff, then that is prasadam. It's literally translating into the mercy of the Lord. And it's becoming spiritual, and it is purifying us. There is a nice little story which I came across. I did not know that before. Srila Prabhupada was on the plane to somewhere. He was traveling around the world, seeing devotees and opening centers, installing deities, and so on. And he had a few devotees with him, and one servant, his secretary, sat right behind him. And Srila Prabhupada sitting cross-legged on the airplane seat. That would be very difficult for us because we have long legs, not enough space. So, and then there was some prasadam brought along. And Srila Prabhupada, he relished. We cannot say Srila Prabhupada is eating prasadam. He relished prasadam whenever he ate. Most of the time, Srila Prabhupada was eating alone. And almost all of the time, that prasadam was relished, because prasadam is no different from Krishna. It was relished and nobody was speaking. Nowadays, we have got into the habit. Prasadam means social interaction and everybody speaks, and we forget that we actually relishing, we actually respecting. We don't eat prasadam. We respect prasadam in the full consciousness. This is Krishna. Like the holy name is Krishna. Prasad is Krishna. So these things are very practical. In this way, we offer. The offering can be very simple. The offering can be as simple as saying the Hare Krishna mantra 3 times over the prepared food. And of course, we don't taste that food before it is offered. Krishna is the first enjoyer. That's the idea. So it is very practical. And in this way, how many times we eat in a day? 3 times. At least, and whatever snacks in between. So if the food is offered to the Lord, then there is Krishna consciousness all the way there. So simple, to practice spiritual life by eating, basically, by cooking. So, any questions remain? Anyone wants to ask something? If not, we're going to the next shloka. Okay. The next shloka is text 16-17. Rajesh, how do you feel of reading us text 16 and 17? I would really want to hear your Sanskrit. You're studying Sanskrit. So we never have had the chance of putting it to the test.
Prabhuji, can I add, Rajesh is doing it on his phone and he can't see the text. So, I mean, I don't know how to see the text, but if I can see it, I can read it in place of him.
Yes. How you can, okay, you came later, you don't have the link. I'll send the link again because unfortunately.
I mean, I have the link on my phone, but I didn't really understand how do I open that, because I tried to do that on the phone.
You try to do that on the phone.
Yeah, but it's just. Okay. I've got the link now. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you have to toggle forth and back, unfortunately. Yes,
Yeah, so
that
it is
will have to.
right. So we read this. If you want to read it now. Okay. So is it okay if I read it now?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Nishme Shresht Mayantam Vasudevo Mahamana Akrur Shrog Senashchis Ramashchasa Dut Vikram Praguman Shwarudev Pradyumnash Rudreshnash Sambo Jambavati Sutta Praharsh Vegoch Shit Shenasan Bhojana.
Can I ask you, Poonam, are you reading the Devanagari or the Latin transliteration?
I am reading the very first thing in the Sanskrit, Devanagari one. Should I
read the Sanskrit
English one? Oh, I could have read the English one, isn't it?
Yes, the English one is usually more accurate in a way.
Oh yeah.
Because you're reading we had said before, I think it was with someone else, we read Devanagari and then we're missing a little bit of some endings because of the Indian way is slightly different. But I mean, here, you also studying Sanskrit? Are you?
No, Prabhuji, I don't study Sanskrit.
Well, it sounds like Hare Krishna. Very nice. Okay, read as a translation and the purport as well.
Yeah.
Please.
On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwarka Dham, magnanimous Vasudeva, Akrura, Ugrasena, Balrama, the superhumanly powerful, Pradyuman, Karudesna, and Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abandoned resting, sitting, and dining. So purport, Vasudeva, son of King Sarasena, husband of Devaki and father of Lord Shri Krishna. He is the brother of Kunti and father of Subhadra. Subhadra was married with her cousin Arjuna, and this system is still prevalent in some parts of India. Vasudeva was appointed minister of Ugrasena, and later on he married 8 daughters of Ugrasena's brother Devaka. Devaki is only one of them. Kansa was his brother-in-law, and Vasudeva accepted voluntary imprisonment by Kansa on mutual agreement to deliver the 8th son of Devaki. This was foiled by the will of Krishna. As maternal uncle of the Pandavas, he took active parts in the purificatory process of the Pandavas. He sent for the priest Kashyap at Satsanga Parvata, and he executed the functions. When Krishna appeared within the bars of Kansa prison house, he was transferred by Vasudeva to the house of Nand Maharaja, the foster father of Krishna, at Gokul. Krishna disappeared along with Baldeva prior to the disappearance of Vasudeva, and Arjun, Vasudeva's nephew, undertook the charge of funeral ceremony after Vasudeva's disappearance.
Okay, let's just pause here a moment. There's a lot of information here.
Information there, yeah, that's right.
All about Vasudeva.
Mm-hmm.
Vasudeva, of course, Vasudeva, we know in the Kamsa's prison, and Vasudeva was on the chariot of the newly wedded couple, Vasudeva and Devaki. They were driving home, and Kamsa was holding the reins. He got a special duty and he was affectionate to Devaki. And then there was that voice in the sky, you fool Kamsa, don't you know the 8th son of Devaki will kill you?
Yeah.
And he wanted to kill Devaki right on the spot. So much. His own life was
at stake,
so much worth for him. And then Vasudeva, he pleaded with him and said, no, I will deliver every child to you, and so on. The whole story. So that is Vasudeva. Any question? Anyone has any question to all this information about Vasudeva? There is a lot there, but we don't necessarily need to get on. I mean, there is different personalities mentioned. And any question, anyone? If not, Poonam, just go on and read us about Akrura. Who is Akrura?
Okay.
It's also a very important personality.
Yeah, Akrura, the commander-in-chief of the Vrasni dynasty and a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Akrura attained success in devotional service to the Lord by the one single process of offering prayers. He was the husband of Sutani, daughter of Ahuka. He supported Arjun when Arjun took Subhadra forcibly away by the will of Krishna. Both Krishna and Akrura went to see Arjun after his successful kidnapping of Subhadra. Both of them presented dowries to Arjuna after this incident. Akrura was present also when Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra, was married to Uttara, mother of Maharaja Parikshit. Ahuka, the father-in-law of Akrura, was not on good terms with Akrura, but both of them were devotees of the Lord.
Okay, so that Akrura is... Anyone knows how do we know Akrura, which is not mentioned here? I mean, here Srila Prabhupada speaks more about the kidnapping of Subhadra and so on. How do we know Akrura? Who can say? Akrura is a very important personality. How do we know Akrura? Who wants to say? Rashmi.
So Akrura is the later on when Lord Kamsa, he put Ugrasen, which is Devaki's father, and his father into prison. Akrura became the general or whatever commander of under King Kamsa. So he was sent. Kamsa had wanted to invite Krishna to a wrestling match. So he sent Akrura from Mathura to where did he go? To Vrindavan.
Why he invited him to Mathura?
He wanted to kill him.
Yes.
In a wrestling match, he wanted him trampled with under elephant's foot. So
and not only, he had some wrestlers, Chanuka and Mushtika.
Yeah, so aim was basically to murder both Krishna and Balaram. So he had sent Akrura. So Akrura went and to get Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan. So at that time there is in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam later on in the 10th canto, it is explained how when he takes them both, the brothers away. I can remember two pastimes. One is when all the gopis are stopping him. So the gopis are very angry that he's taking their Krishna away. So they are all falling down in front of the rath, in front of the chariot. They are all fainting and collapsing in front of the chariot so that Akrura cannot take Krishna and Balaram away. And also another incident is, and I think there is a kund in Vrindavan, I forgot the name, whether it is called, it's not called Akrura Kund, something else it is called, where when he's taking them away, the lords stop to take a bath, Krishna and Balaram. They get into the pond, into a kund to take a bath, and Krishna sees them simultaneously, Akrura sees them simultaneously in the kund and on his chariot. So later on the Acharyas explain how that Krishna and Balaram which he took away were not actually Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram Krishna never moves even 1 inch from Vrindavan.
Very well. Yes, that is very important to understand. So Krishna was exchanged there, not the Vrindavan Krishna, the Vasudev Krishna. Krishna can expand himself in so many forms. That Shyama Sundar Krishna, no, he never leaves Vrindavan. Yes, thank you, Rashmi. That's a very important pastime, and that is very elaborately described in what? Not Chaitanya, Brihad. I don't know. Certainly in the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Prabhuji, in
Krishna book as well. Yes. Yes, beautifully described with details. How the gopis reacted. I mean, it's just. I mean, now we're just speaking there in a minute about this incident, but that is described on pages and pages and pages, and the feelings of the gopis and the forth and back, and throwing themselves in front of the chariot, and Akrura very skillfully avoided to hitting them, and then Krishna was very much also aggrieved, and the gopis said, "We cannot live without you, my lord. Impossible." So Krishna got down from the chariot. And it was just a forth and back. Krishna got down from the chariot, and he went with the gopis to console them in the forest. And then Balaram and Akrura realized that Krishna is not there anymore. And then they called out, Akrura called out, "You, the cruel Kamsa, he has imprisoned your father. And don't you think you should help your father?" When Krishna heard that, then he changed his mind again, and he was going forth and back until, yes, he drove away. And I mean, when Akrura came, it was very clear what will happen, that he will take Krishna away, Krishna and Balaram away from Vrindavan.
Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
I think my computer says the meeting has stopped.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you, but we can't see you, Prabhuji.
What?
We can't see you. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
I can see you, Prabhuji.
Yes, my camera is on. Amit, you can see me?
I can see you, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and you can see me, and you can hear me. So, Poonam, if you can
hear me,
I can hear you, Prabhuji, but I can't see you at all. I don't know why.
So there is. Do you know how to move?
I'm trying to relaunch the meeting. Maybe that would do.
Yes, you can try that.
Yeah.
Try that. I mean, sometimes there's some technical.
If not, it's fine. I mean, I can still. If you guys can hear me, then I can still read. So
we can hear you. Yes, very well.
Okay.
So let me just one point. So Yashoda Mai, she made Nanda Maharaj promise you don't come back without Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
A few days in Mathura. Yes, of course, eventually Nanda Maharaj and the Gahud boys came back without Krishna because Krishna wanted to stay a little bit more and give some encouragement to Vasudeva and Devaki, and the relatives there. So these things are all very elaborately described. These things are very, very beautiful. And when Krishna, there's a description, if I can manage, is as an audiobook. What is it? Is it Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Perhaps yes. Probably yes. I will get that to you. I will post that file. You listen to that. It's just, I mean, when we're speaking of bhavas or the mood of the gopis and Krishna there, this scene, it is so heart-rendering. It is really, really heart-rendering of that separation of the gopis from Krishna and Krishna from the gopis, forth and back and forth and back. These feelings, that is bhakti. Not only hearings and intellectual, but trying to, and we spoke recently, we're trying to understand how the gopis are feeling. So if you listen to that file, I will send it to you, everybody in the group. Then it's not very long. There's just a section of 5 minutes maybe, but it's so beautiful. You must listen to it.
Yep.
And I'll ask you next time. Okay. Let's go further. Let's go to Ugrasena Poonam Mataji.
Okay. So Ugrasena, one of the powerful kings of Vrasni dynasty and cousin of Maharaja Kunti Bhoj. His other name is Ahuka. His mother was Vasudeva.
Minister.
His minister was Vasudeva and his son was powerful Kamsa. This Kamsa imprisoned his father and became the king of Mathura. By the grace of Lord Krishna and his brother Lord Baldeva, Kamsa was killed and Ugrasena was reinstalled on the throne. When Salva attacked the city of Dwarka, Ugrasena fought very valiantly and repulsed the enemy. Ugrasena inquired from Naradji about the divinity of Lord Krishna. When the Yadu dynasty was to be vanquished, Ugrasena was entrusted with the iron lump produced from the womb of Samba. He cut the iron lump into pieces and then pasted it and mixed it up with the sea water on the coast of Dwarka. After this, he ordered complete prohibition within the city of Dwarka and the kingdom. He got salvation after his death.
Okay, that is Ugrasena, a very important personality also. Anyone has any question to that, to Ugrasena? I mean, Kamsa, he imprisoned his own father. So power hungry he was. Anyone has any question?
I didn't understand this, Prabhuji. He cut the iron lump into the pieces and then...
Yes, that's a whole story. Yes, I'm not surprised. Who can say what happened there? In brief, what about Rashmi? You know that story. There's a beautiful painting as well. Rashmi, Vaishana? Anyone knows that story? The iron lump. Okay, I will, in very brief. What happened? The youngsters of the kingdom, a group, Shamba and others, they wanted to trick the sages. And they put some cushion under one of the boys' shirt and made him look like a woman.
Okay.
And then they went in front of the sages and they said, please tell us, this young lady, will she give birth to a boy or a girl? So they mocked the sages. The sages immediately, of course, these sadhus, these sages, they immediately knew her. And they cursed them. They said, you will give birth to an iron lump, which will be the source of the destruction of the entire Yadu dynasty.
Oh, okay.
And then everybody was very, very scared. And then, yes, an iron lump, which we hear here, he was produced. And because Ugrasena, he heard that curse of the sages, and he thought what to do. So he thought, we have to get rid of that iron lump. If that is a destruction of the whole dynasty, so what shall we do? So he decided, or they all decided, to grind it up into powder. And they did that, and they put that powder into the sea.
Oh.
And they thought that was problem solved. And there were, I mean, here Srila Prabhupada mentioned prohibition. Nobody was allowed to go near that place. So what happens then? Because the Yadu dynasty are Krishna's own dynasty. When Krishna left the planet, he also wanted his associates, the Yadu dynasty, to leave the planet. So when Krishna takes, so to speak, birth, he doesn't take birth. He just appears. He appeared in the prison house of Kams as a four-handed Vishnu, and on the plea of his parents, he took a two-handed form. And so, and it's described, he first appeared in the mind of Vasudeva. From the mind of Vasudeva, he was transferred to Devaki, to the mind of Devaki, and so on. So that is not ordinary. No child gets born with four hands in a Vishnu form. Because sometimes people say, oh, Krishna is just an ordinary, when he comes to this world, he is just an ordinary human being. No, of course not. An ordinary human being doesn't show at birth a four-handed form, decorated with garlands and helmet and armlets and everything. So what happens then? This iron lump, which was ground up into powder, it produced some reeds at the shore of the ocean. Some reeds, some grass reeds, strong with, and these reeds were they were just like iron. So then, this is all the Lord's arrangement to get the Yadus back to the spiritual world, of course, or himself as well. So it so happens then that the Yadus started quarreling, and they were at the sea, which is us. They were intoxicated by some beverages as well, and then they're fighting with each other, and they're taking the reeds which grew there, which came from that iron lump ground up, and they're fighting with each other, and just in short, they destroyed each other completely. So that is a story in short about the iron lump. Without that story, it will be not possible to understand. So, any other question?
Actually, I was trying to speak, but I find it difficult to come back when we're on the screen for the Bhagavatam, and then to come back to undo the volume. So it takes time. About Sam and the baby, well, he was cursed by Durvasa Muni.
Who are you speaking about?
About just what, about Sam being, having
Samba?
Sam, yes, about the baby. He was cursed to turn into a woman because he dressed up as a woman and tried to trick Durvasa Muni. So it was Durvasa who gave the curse for him to stay as a woman and, give birth as a baby. And all this time, he was only trying to make Durvasa Muni angry so he would curse Krishna. but unfortunately Sam got cursed instead for trying to trick everyone.
Yes, say so many stories and side stories, and it's just going on. Yes. Okay, thank you, Vaishnava Mataji. Anything else? If not, we're going on to Baladeva. Shall we ask Rajesh to keep on reading? Otherwise, you have to do it all yourself. Poonam, what about Rajesh? You want to do a little bit
I can definitely say just a second, Prabhuji.
Rajesh, if that is okay with you, you read a little bit about Lord Balaram.
Yeah, he's here, Prabhuji. Just a second. Read about Baladev. Baladev, you read about him.
Namaste, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Rajesh. Baladev.
Baladeva. He is the divine son of Vasudeva by his wife Rohini. He is also known as Rohini Nandana, the beloved son of Rohini. He was also entrusted to Nanda Maharaja along with his mother, Rohini, when Vasudeva embraced imprisonment by mutual agreement with Kansa. Vasudeva, I think it is. So Nanda Maharaj is also the foster father of Baladeva along with Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev were constant companions from their very childhood, although they were stepbrothers. He is the plenary manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he is as good and powerful as Lord Krishna. He belongs to the Vishnu Tattva, the principle of Godhead. He attended the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi along with Sri Krishna. When Subhadra was kidnapped by Arjuna by the organized plan of Sri Krishna, Baladev was very angry with Arjuna and wanted to kill him at once. Sri Krishna, for the sake of his dear friend, fell at the feet of Lord Baladev and implored him not to be so angry. Sri Baladeva was thus satisfied. Similarly, he was once very angry with the Kauravas and he wanted to throw their whole city into the depth of Yamuna. But the Kauravas satisfied him by surrendering unto his divine lotus feet. He was actually the seventh son of Devaki prior to the birth of Lord Krishna. But by the will of the Lord, he was transferred to the womb of Rohini to escape the wrath of Kansa. His other name is therefore Shankarasan, who is also the plenary portion of Sri Baladeva, because he is as powerful as Lord Krishna and can bestow spiritual powers to the devotees. He is therefore known as Baladeva. In the Vedas also, it is enjoined that no one can know the Supreme Lord without being favored by Baladeva. Bala means spiritual strength, not physical. Some less intelligent persons interpret Bala as the strength of the body. But no one can have spiritual realization by physical strength. Physical strength ends with the end of the physical body, but spiritual strength follows the spirit soul to the next transmigration. And therefore, the strength obtained by Baladeva is never wasted. The strength is eternal, and thus Baladeva is the original spiritual master of all devotees.
Okay, carry on. Yes.
Yeah, Sri Baladeva was also a close friend of Lord Krishna as a student of Sandeepani Muni. In his childhood, he killed many asuras along with Sri Krishna, and specifically he killed the Dhenukasura at Talavana. During the Kurukshetra battle, he remained neutral and he tried his best not to bring about the fight. He was in favor of Duryodhana, but still he remained neutral. When there was a club fight between Duryodhana and Bhimasena, he was present on the spot. He was angry at Bhimasena when the latter struck Duryodhana on the thigh or below the belt. And he wanted to retaliate the unfair action. Lord Shri Krishna saved Bhima from his wrath. But he left the place at once, being disgusted at Bhimasena, and after his departure, Duryodhana fell to the ground to meet his death. The funeral ceremony of Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna, was performed by him, as he was the maternal uncle. It was impossible to be performed by any one of the Pandavas, who were all overwhelmed with grief. At the last stage, he departed from this world by producing a great white snake from his mouth, and thus he was carried by Sheshanaga in the shape of a serpent.
Okay, thank you very much, Rajesh.
Thank you.
There are two bits we could speak a bit about. What is the story of Dhenukasura? First of all, Krishna and Balaram were in the Gurukula, in the ashram of Santipani Muni, and studied all the skills there. So, what is the story about Dhenukasura and the Talavan forest? Who can say?
Prabhuji, I was just reading this with my father last week.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
from
Tell
Krishna
us a
book.
story. Yes, please.
I cannot, it's not a lot, Prabhuji. It's just, he was in this, Kamsa was constantly sending demons to kill Krishna. So one time he sent this demon in the form of a donkey, Dhenu. So that is why his name is Dhenukasur. Because in Sanskrit, donkey is Dhenu. So he came in the form of this Dhenukasur in Talvan. And there's something about Talvan which I've forgotten why it is Talvan. Anyway, Krishna and Balaram were there, and then Balaram catches this donkey by his, in the fight takes place between the two of them. And then Balaram basically kills him by catching him from his hind legs and flinging him. And when he throws him, then he falls. This Dhenukasur is very huge. So the Krishna book describes how when he falls down, he falls on one tree, and then that tree falls on another tree, and that way the whole forest is destroyed by this Dhenukasur being killed by Balaram. That is all that
thank
was
you,
there.
Raki. Well, there is a little bit in the beginning, is a little bit more when Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys were going to the forest. One day, the cowherd, the Gopas, said to Krishna, do you smell that? There is a forest nearby with tal trees and tal fruit. I don't know what is tal fruit, someone can tell me, but I mean, they had such an aroma. And the cowherd boys said, there's only one problem. There are some demons in that forest, and they're protecting. Nobody is going to this forest. And there are so many tal fruits. We wish we could have some of these tal fruits because we are hungry. It's lunchtime, and they're smelling so nicely. They're fully ripe tal fruits. So Krishna said, okay, we'll go. Come with me here. So, and then they shook on the trees and the fruits falling down, and then Dhenukasura, the leader of those demons, he quickly came, and then, as you explained, Rashmi, he took Dhenukasura by the hind legs and whirling him around and throwing him on top of the tree, and all the other demons in the form of asses as well, donkeys. They came also, and they were all ending up on top of the tal trees, and they fell down. And yes, that is Talavan, and the story of Dhenukasura. Thank you very much, Rashmi. Hare Krishna. The other point we hear about Abhimanyu. It was impossible for the Pandavas to perform the funeral rites because they were so overwhelmed with grief. Of course, Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna, and how that we go into the battle of Kurukshetra, Mahabharata war. Anyone can, in brief, tell us what happened to Abhimanyu on the battlefield? That is Mahabharata. Anyone? Vaishnava Mataji, you know that story?
Yes, just trying to get back to the mic. Yes, that was...
we can hear you, we can hear you.
Yes, Haribo. Yes, that was when Abhimanyu, the Kauravas had prepared the Chakravyuha, and at that time, Krishna and
Arjuna, a military formation, right?
Yes, yes, it was called the Chakravyuha, and Abhimanyu was the youngest, but he insisted that he knew the way into the Chakravyuha, but the only thing he didn't know was to come out of the Chakravyuha.
Why didn't he know? Why didn't he know?
Well, what had happened was when he was conceived in the womb of Subhadra, his mother, she was listening to this for how to do the formation by Arjuna, and she was listening to the story.
Arjuna told that, yes.
Yes, Arjuna was telling the story of how to go into the Chakravyuha, but I think during the story, halfway, Subhadra Mataji falls asleep. So he missed the end. But when this situation arose in the war, Abhimanyu asked Yudhishthir and Bhimsen, Kaka, let me go in, let me help you, and let me lead. So he goes, and he is followed by the rest of the team. But again, they were stopped. They couldn't all get in, and Abhimanyu ended up being right in the center of Chakravyuha, and where everybody was there, Acharya Drona and Kripacharya and Duryodhan and Shakuni Mama and who's the other one I was thinking of? Well, everyone was there, and he gets killed inside, and the others are left behind. Bhim, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and everybody could not go in to help him, and that's how his death occurred.
Because they were engaged somewhere purposefully. So they were engaged somewhere else on the battlefield, Arjuna as well.
Yes, so that's the basic story.
Yes, it took all these great Maharatis, which is, he was just a young boy, but he fought very bravely. And it wasn't right that the big experienced fighters ganging up on him to kill him. And that was... of course, a very sad story for the Pandavas and Arjuna in particular, and Subhadra as well. So that is a bit of the story of Abhimanyu. So let's move on. We want to at least finish that verse, Pradyumna. Okay, Rajesh, can you go on with Pradyumna?
Yeah, just 1 second. I'll go back.
Thank you.
Okay. Pradyumna, incarnation of Kamadeva, or according to others, incarnation of Sanat Kumara. Born as the son of the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, and Lakshmi Devi, Srimati Rukmani, the principal queen at Dwarika. He was one of those who went to congratulate Arjuna upon his marrying Subhadra. He was one of the great generals who fought with Salva. And while fighting with him, he became unconscious on the battlefield. His charioteer brought him back to the camp from the battlefield. And for this action, he was very sorry and rebuked his charioteer. However, he fought again with Salva and was victorious. He heard all about the different demigods from Naradaji. He is one of the 4 plenary expansions of Lord Sri Krishna. He is the 3rd one. He inquired from his father, Sri Krishna, about the glories of the Brahmanas. During the fratricidal war amongst the descendants of Yadu, he died at the hand of Bhoja, another king of Vrishnis. After his death, he was installed in his original position.
Okay, that was that fratricidal war, that what we just have explained to Poonam with that iron mace and ground up, and said what it refers to. Okay, thank you, Rajesh. Who can say something about Sanat Kumar? Sanat Kumar is mentioned. Who is Sanat Kumar? Who are the 4 Kumaras? Very important personalities. Who are the 4 Kumaras?
Aren't they the sons of Brahma?
Yes.
Yes. And
A bit more? What's the backstory?
well, they had come to do darshan, have darshan of Lord Sri Vishnu, hadn't they?
Well, before they're in the form of 4
Oh, they did not
naked young boys.
Oh, yes.
How did they get to this form? They're great sages.
Yes, they were great sages. And they were told to create progeny, but they did not want to. They wanted to remain as sages. They did not want
Brahmacharis.
to- Yes, as brahmacharis.
Who convinced them? No, who? Who else then? Narada Muni. He's always playing this.
Yeah.
Okay. So he inspired them, and then they said to their father, no, we will not create progeny. We stay brahmacharis. And then carry on. Then they wanted to see. Why did they want to see Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha?
To have darshan of the Lords, but wasn't there this aroma when they reached there and they wanted to have darshan
What
of
they were attracted to the aroma of what?
the feet of the Lord, wasn't it?
The tulsi.
Tulsi leaves.
Oh, tulsi leaves, was it? Oh, right.
Because, I mean, you're not wrong. First, the tulsi leaves are always on the feet of the Lord. Okay,
Yeah.
because they were quite impersonal jnanis before. So even the impersonal jnanis, if they get in touch with the devotional service of the Lord and the tulsi leaves and so on, then they become attracted. So they became attracted and they want to see the Lord in Vaikuntha. What happens then, Vaishnava?
There's the Jay and Vijay who are at the door. They're the doorkeepers. And they stop them from going in.
Why?
And
Why they stop them?
I don't really know. Was it
They didn't recognize these were great, great sages and devotees. They thought these are some 4 young boys. What are you doing here in Vaikuntha? Go home back to your mama.
Yes. So that's when
And
they
then what?
get. Then the sages curse them.
What was a curse?
I think they were given choices, weren't they?
No, the curse was before Lord Vishnu comes to the scene. What was the curse?
For them to go become demons in the next
No, that
life.
wasn't the curse. That wasn't the curse. What was the curse of Jai, of the Kumaras?
Right.
Go to the material world. You have stopped us. Normally, as devotees, we don't feel offended by anything. But if someone stops us to see Krishna, that's a different story. Nobody can check us to come closer to Krishna. So they cursed them, you take birth in the material world. And then Lord Vishnu came on the scene, and he modified the curse. What was that modification? Vaishnava. It's still you.
Yes, they were cursed. And then to come back, they either had to do a few years, few lifetimes.
Few lifetimes
As demons, or come back, so they choose to be demons actually. So they could come back within three or four lifetimes.
What was the other option? Three births as demons, or
I think it was a longer time.
5 births as devotees.
But a long time. So they chose this one.
They choose the demons. Why they choose to be 3 times taking birth as demons? I mean, it would have been very nice as devotees. But why they chose 3 times as demons?
Well, they would be liberated as demons. They would be killed by Lord Vishnu himself.
Yes, but they would also be coming back as devotees. So why they choose 3 births as demons? So rather than 5 births as devotees.
It's a long time.
They had to go to the material world. They had to go. That was a curse. But Krishna says, Lord Vishnu said, I cannot stop that curse, but I can modify it. You go 3 times as demons or 5 times as devotees. So why they choose the demons?
Well, they could not stay away from the Lord. They loved him so much.
Yes.
5 births.
It took
was a
3
long
times
time.
is quicker to get back than 5 lifetimes as devotees.
Yeah.
And behind that, of course, is the desire of the Lord. Krishna has Lord Vishnu, a fighting spirit. That is deeper behind. I mean, we all have a fighting spirit. Sometimes we want to fight. But I mean, in Vaikuntha, there is no fighting. It's all very peaceful. So then Krishna has to make special arrangements that he's selecting his sparring, his fighting partners, and then he was fighting with the demons. Anyone remembers which are the 3 demons which were killed by the Lord?
Well, one of them was. Oops, can you hear me? I keep thinking it's the mic on.
Yes.
Hiranyakashipu.
And Hiranyaksha, his brother.
Yeah.
And who was number 3?
Wasn't Ravan one of them?
No.
No, he wasn't.
I don't think so.
Yes, Prabhuji. One
Ravan?
is Vasanti Mataji said Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. Second, Mataji said Ravan and Kumkaran.
Yeah.
Kumkaran was Ravan's brother. And the third was Shishupal and Dantavakra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of that. That was a little bit about Kumaras, very important personalities. We will hear about them in Bhagavatam again and again and again. In fact, they have created their own Sampradaya, bona fide Sampradaya disciplic lineage of the Kumara Sampradaya. So they are very important personalities. So, what we have now? Charudeshna. We're almost done. Charudeshna. Rajesh, you want to... Can we hear a little bit about Charudeshna? Okay. It's very short.
Okay. Another son of Lord Shri Charudeshna, another son of Lord Shri Krishna and Rukmani Devi. He was also present during the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi. He was a great warrior like his brother, brothers and father. He fought with Vivinadaka and killed him in the fight.
And let's go on to Samba as well.
So Samba, one of the great heroes of the Yadu dynasty and the son of Lord Sri Krishna by his wife Jamvati. He learned the military art of throwing arrows from Arjuna, and he became a member of parliament during the time of Maharaja Yudhishthira. He was present during the Rajasuya Yagna of Maharaja Yudhishthira, when all the Vrishnis were assembled during the time of Prabhas Yajna. His glorious activities were narrated by Satyaki before Lord Baladeva. He was also present along with his father, Lord Sri Krishna, during the Ashwamedha Yagna performed by Yudhishthira. He was presented before some rishis, falsely dressed as a pregnant woman by his brothers, and in fun, he asked the rishis what he was going to deliver. The rishis replied that he would deliver a lump of iron, which would be the cause of fratricidal war in the family of Yadu. The next day in the morning, Samba delivered a large lump of iron, which was entrusted to Ugrasen for necessary action. Actually, later on, there was the foretold fratricidal war, and Samba died in that form. So all these sons of Lord Krishna left their respective palaces and, leaving aside all engagements, including lying down, sitting and dining, hastened towards their exalted father.
Thank you, Rajesh. So that was a very long purport with a lot of stories and side stories. Anyone has a question?
I just looked at the tal tree, tal fruit that you said on the internet. And it says it's called palm fruit, palmyra fruit. Fruit is like the taste is like coconut. It's found in the South India. So if you.
Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody has eaten the tal fruit?
I have not.
No, me neither. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rajesh. We still haven't heard Sanskrit from you, but next time. Next time.
Sure.
Do come for the Bhagavad Gita on Wednesday. You will really, really like that.
Thank you. I will try my best.
Okay. So what we will try to do now, we will do a little bit of sharing. We have a few minutes left. 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Anyone, I mean, Rashmi, I'm sure you have something to share, what you have learned. No, you didn't have association with in Bombay, but maybe from your father or anyone has to share something. Please, let's hear. Rashmi, any sharing? Any realizations, any experiences, anything what happened in between last week and today?
Nothing, Prabhuji. I've been reading Krishna book with my father. So today we were reading about the prayers. So I was just, my father was just, he noticed, he has read Krishna book before, maybe he had forgotten. So he was just saying how so many stutis, prayers are being offered by various personalities to Lord Krishna. Like today we were reading about Kaliya and how his wives are offering stuti or prayers to Lord Krishna. A few weeks ago, we read about Lord Brahma in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, how he is offering prayers. So everywhere, all these personalities are offering prayers to the Lord and telling us and telling the Lord that how, it means just appreciating the Lord. And then later on, when I was reading something else in my own time, I read a little bit where one of the Goswamis, he was saying in his lecture that Krishna likes it very much when we glorify him. So, when we say you are the killer of Ravan, you are the killer of Hiranyakashipu, he likes it very much. He's very happy. Then he likes it even more if you glorify him by saying you are Rukmani's husband, you are Satyabhama's husband, you have whatever. You're the most opulent person, whatever. Goddess of fortune, Lakshmi is always at your feet. So he's a little bit more pleased. But then he's even more pleased if you'll say you are Yashoda Nandan, you are Devaki Nandan. He's even more happy. But he's most happy when Krishna is associated with the Damodar Leela and all these little Leelas in Braj. So Krishna is very pleased, especially, in this month of Kartik, when we sing the Damodar Ashtakam. He's very pleased because the entire Damodar Ashtakam is describing his Leela in Braj, the Damodar Leela. So he's even more pleased. So Krishna is most pleased when we glorify him by describing his beautiful pastimes in Braj, his Leelas like Damodar Leela.
Okay,
So
thank you. Yes, that is very beautiful. There's so many prayers, as you just said. There are many prayers. And sometimes one may think that is just disturbing the storyline. There is a beautiful story there, and then there is prayers again, and sometimes the tendency is let me skip the prayers and go back to the storyline. No, these prayers are important. Why are these prayers, Dhruva Maharaj's prayers, Brahma's prayers, and so on, the Nagapatnis, the wives of Kaliya's prayers, why are these prayers so important? Because they teach us how to pray, how to glorify Krishna, because we don't know how to pray. What are our prayers? Oh, my dear Lord, please give me this, give me this, give me this. Give me good health, so let my son be married. And there are many things. These are not proper prayers. Yes, it is better to approach Krishna, even for material benefits, not the demigods, not Lakshmi Puja for wealth. If we have any material desires, we should approach Krishna. There is a verse, if you full of material desires or you have no material desires, you should worship Krishna. So if we have material desires, we cannot get rid of it, and it's not so easy to get rid of it, not just like that. It will take some time of engagement in devotional service and practicing Krishna consciousness and chanting the mantra, the most powerful mantra in all the universe. So we learn through these prayers of the great personalities, throughout Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, throughout Krishna book, and throughout the Vedas, we learn how to pray. What to speak of the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada was very fond of the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, because Prahlad Maharaj, he was such a preacher from his small childhood. In school, in the Gurukul, he induced all the children to chant Hare Krishna. And then he was brought before his father, and so much trouble by him preaching this Krishna conscious movement. So, of course, Prahlad Maharaj, when Lord Nrsimhadev was very pleased with him, when he said, I'll give you a boon, come back to the spiritual world. And then Prahlad Maharaj said, how can I go back to the spiritual world when all these rascals are still rotting in this material world? So this kind of compassion, that is the heart of our Sampradaya and disciplic succession. Devotees who are properly situated, that don't aim to... Of course, there's nothing wrong about I want to go back home to Godhead. That's a big motivation, a big motivator. But if we even further advance there, we don't mind. And Srila Prabhupada had plenty of conversations. We don't mind if we go to Patala, to the hellish planets, or we go to the heavenly planets, or here and there. Wherever we go, we preach and distribute this Krishna consciousness and sing the glories of the Lord. So the pure devotees, their desire is just simply they want to be engaged in the service of the Lord, even above going back home to Godhead. Okay, anyone else has something to share? We're running out of time. Anyone else? Anything? It was very nice to have you have a big turnout. Thank you, Amit, Poonam, Rajesh, Rashmi, Vashana Mataji. Ben wasn't feeling too well. He will be on Wednesday. He says he will come for the Bhagavad Gita course, which is a diploma course. We have actually over 500 pages of materials, but we're sifting through and just picking out the cream of the cream. But there's plenty of material. It's based on a Bhakti Shastri diploma course, so you will get a very thorough understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. It's not just reading verse by verse as we do here with the Bhagavatam. No, we will not read verse by verse. We look at the development of the chapters and synopsis, and we'll look at some key verses in chapters. So you're most welcome. Same time, Wednesday, 7 o'clock.
Can
Okay.
I ask
Amit?
a question?
Oh, Rajesh, yes, please.
Rashmi ji was saying that Lord Krishna gets very happy. Lots of echo. Can you hear me?
You have a little bit of echo.
Yes.
Maybe there's some feedback.
Yes, there's lots of echo everywhere.
Try again, Rajesh. We cannot hear you.
Prabhu, while you're doing that, I'll try to share something.
Okay. Amit.
Yeah, it was. It's not a realization, but just to share that last Tuesday,
What happened?
It was Samir's birthday. So.
Samir Prabhuji ki jai. And
Yes, I remembered his birthday.
tell us something, Amit. Why is it significant?
No, I just mentioned it was just a remembrance, really. But Samir now is free. In fact, he's probably more happier than we are.
Yes, not probably, definitely. What I said to Amit, he wrote to me, Samir's birthday is today. One day after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance is Samir's disappearance. And I wrote him back, that is not particularly astonishing. Jamashtami is Lord Krishna's appearance. After Jamashtami was Srila Prabhupada's appearance. That is very befitting that after Krishna's appearance, the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada should appear in this world. So that is not at all astonishing. And then after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance is Samir's disappearance. That is also very befitting, because Samir was such a wonderful example for all of us. So eager to hear and associate with devotees. Just that in short. I'm not sure if it will be every year. Samir's disappearance will be the day after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. It depends. If he follows the lunar calendar, it will be. If he follows the solar calendar, it will shift around. Okay, thank you, Amit, for that. Just one more thing. Rajesh, why does Sri Krishna gets happy hearing that he killed demons? Okay, that is an interesting question. Again, why does Sri Krishna gets happy hearing that he killed demons? He's glorified. Who can answer? Where are our Pandits, Rashmi?
Doesn't this mean that the Lord knows the true nature of the person and he's liberating them?
Yes, interesting. Anything more? Rashmi?
I don't know, Prabhuji, exactly, but maybe, see, let's take our own examples. If somebody praises us, don't we feel happy? If somebody says, oh, you are so good in whatever skill, your skill of
Football.
being
Football.
in football,
Let's
or
say-
you're so
yes.
skilled as a doctor, or whatever, we feel happy.
Yes.
The same way you're praising Krishna. Oh, you're so skillful flute player. Oh, you're so skillful at killing all the demons and protecting all your sakhas and all the devotees. So Krishna is going to be pleased at glorification. We have the same qualities as Krishna. So we like being glorified, praised. Why? Because Krishna likes being praised. That's what I feel.
Thank you. That is a very beautiful answer. It's a very beautiful answer. And again, whatever we have in ourselves has its origin in Krishna. There is one more, but this quality of feeling happy when praised is not considered good even for humans. In a sense, yes, if we get proud. If we are praised, we get proud. But generally, if someone very close to us, if Poonam says to you, Rajesh, oh, you did that very well, thank you, you will take that as a loving exchange, because you are very intimately together. So if someone else, an acquaintance or someone you don't really know, is saying that, that is not particularly palatable. So the same with Krishna. If his devotees praise him in that way, because devotees are very intimately connected with the Lord, he is very happy. So that is one explanation. But there are more than one explanation. I think we'll have to stop. Otherwise, everybody is just rushing away. It's 9 o'clock. Thank you very much, everyone. See you on Wednesday for Bhagavad Gita workshop or next Saturday for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It was absolutely wonderful of having you all here. You take care, keep safe, and chant Hare Krishna.